Hello everyone, my name is Tepo. Welcome to our channel. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe. Today's segment is about child maintenance. As you all know, it costs money to raise children. The concept of maintenance is premised upon the fact that every parent and both parents of a child have a duty to support their child. So please remember, the duty to support rests with both parents. Now, the way maintenance works is that the parent that is living with the child has the right to claim maintenance against the parent that is not living with that child. Now, when you bring a maintenance application before court, there are several considerations that the court will look at. So basically, what you must understand is that you need to convince the court of two things. The first hurdle that you need to clear is around what it costs to maintain this child. What are the monthly necessities of the child? So you need to present to the court in specific detail what the costs, what the necessities are and how much they cost. So you will need to compile, I normally do it in a form of a spreadsheet where you state, for example, school fees, school transport, food, lunch boxes, stationaries, uniform, everything. You need to think of every expense that goes into supporting this child every month, and you need to come to a total cost. Once you have convinced the court that these are the monthly necessities of the child, and the court is satisfied that what you have included there is reasonable costs, meaning you haven't included any frivolous or exorbitant expenses, then the next hurdle to clear is to convince the court that the person from whom you are claiming maintenance can afford to pay that amount. And remember, if the total costs of maintaining the child are, for example, 10,000 Rand a month, that amount will be apportioned to both you and the respondent, that's the person against whom you are claiming maintenance, proportionately, according to your means. So you've now calculated the monthly necessities. The next question is, what proportion of those monthly necessities do you want the respondent to contribute to? For example, if the total costs are 10,000, are you asking the court to order that the respondent pay 5,000 or contribute 5,000 towards those necessities? If you're asking the court to order that the respondent, for example, pay an amount of 5,000 Rand a month, then you have to convince the court that the respondent can in fact afford that amount. So for example, you may be able to prove that the monthly necessities of the child amount to 10,000 Rand a month. However, if the respondent is a domestic worker or a gardener who earns 4,000 Rand a month, the court is not going to order that respondent to pay the amount that you are requesting if that amount exceeds the respondent's income or depletes most of that respondent's income. Remember, the court will never make an order that is impossible to comply with. And this is why the question of affordability becomes central to the maintenance question. However, remember, it does not mean that the respondent can simply appear before court and state to the court that, sorry, I cannot afford the amount that is being claimed against me. The respondent also has to prove their expenses to the court. So the respondent is also required to show the income or show their income as well as their expenses, and then show how much disposable income they are left with. In other words, financial documents including the respondent's payslip, the respondent's 3-month banking statements, proof of all the expenses. Those documents have to be placed before the court so that the court can ascertain what is the respondent's financial standing and how much can the respondent afford to pay. So that's basically the nature of the inquiry that will be undertaken at maintenance court. So as the applicant, the information that you will need to place before court, when you submit your application, you will need to submit the application form that can be obtained at the maintenance office or online. You need to complete that form fully. It will need to be accompanied by supporting documents, including a copy of your ID, 3-month banking statement, your latest payslip, copies of the children's birth certificates, your proof of residence. You complete the form and you submit it back to court with all those supporting documents. The court will then issue a date for you and the respondent to appear at court. A subpoena will be issued against the respondent, informing him of the date on which he is expected to appear at court. The court will usually attend to the service of that subpoena on the respondent. On that date, you and the respondent will appear at court. The maintenance officer will sit with yourself and the respondent and try to mediate. Mediation is more of an informal approach where the maintenance officer attempts to bring the parties to a mutual settlement. So the maintenance officer will sit with both parties. You will discuss the needs of the child, and if it's a willing respondent who is there in good faith, he may make an offer to say, I see the applicant is requesting 5,000 rands. Unfortunately, based on my current financial situation, I can only afford 3,000 rands. And then you as the applicant may decide whether you are willing to accept that or not. If the parties agree at mediation stage, then a consent to order will be signed. The respondent will sign his consent that an order may be made, and then the court will make an order. Should the respondent or should settlement not be reached between the parties at mediation stage, then the matter will proceed to formal inquiry, which is where both parties will present their financial evidence to the court, and the court will make a decision. So that, in a nutshell, is how you apply for maintenance and the kind of information that you must be prepared to place before court in order to obtain a maintenance order. In our next segment, we will discuss how to enforce a maintenance order. In other words, what do you do once an order has been granted, but then the respondent does not comply with it? Remember to like and subscribe to our page. Also, leave us your comments. Toodles.